Hello Year 3, this is your Tuesday maths lesson. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of recapping. Let's just make sure you've got everything you need in front of you. So you need a sharp pencil, your ruler and your maths book. Just check you've got those things. And I'd like to introduce something to you. I found when I've been working with the children in school, they're not really sure whether they're meant to write something or whether it's meant to be a listening activity. So what I've done for you, something we can try out, is when it's a listening slide, that means you don't need to write anything down, you just need to listen. I've got this on the screen, okay, so you can see that. And when it's an activity slide, that means you do have to write something down. You'll see this part, okay, this picture. So just keep an eye out for those and just see if they help you or not. Let me know how you get on. So let's jot down the date NLO and underline it. Pause the video to do that now. Great, so as you can see, this is an activity slide. You can keep your pencil in your hand. I'd like you to have a little go at these first two questions as our review. So number one says, write a multiplication equation to represent each picture. There's actually two you could do for each one. And then number two says, complete the calculations. So pause the video and have a go at that now. That's in your book. Okay, so we should have got, there are 4 groups of cherries, 4 times 2, there is 2 in each little group, and that totals 8. And we could have done the switcher as well for that one. With this one here, we've got 2 bags, 2 groups of 4, 4 in each bag. That totals 8 as well. And again, we could do the switcher. Tick those if you got those correct. And then for our calculations, we've got 6 times 2, 6 lots of 2, that's 12. 6 lots of 4, that's 24. And 6 lots of 8, that's 48. You might notice a bit of a pattern with those calculations, and we're going to be talking about that today. So let's have a look at this slide. It's a listening slide, so you can pop your pencil down and just pay your full attention onto the screen for the moment. 1 lolly costs 12p. We can see that through the picture here. What is the total cost of 2 lollies? Just have a think, don't need to write it down, have a think about what calculation we're going to need to do here. And I can show you this in a bar model. Look. So here we've got double 12 because we want 2 of those lollies. So 2 lots of 12, and that's 24p. What about 4 lollies? Well, in our bar model, we can see we've got 4 little parts of 12, 4 lots of 12. That's 48p. And now let's have a look at what the total cost of 8 lollies would be. We've got 8 lots of 12 here in our bar model. That's 8 groups of 12, and that totals 96p. As the amount of lollies doubled here, so did the cost. Did you notice that? As the amount doubles, the cost doubles too. And that's the pattern when we're looking at the 2 times table, the 4 times table, and the 8 times table. We can do lots of doubling and halving to help us with it. So on this slide, it's another listening slide, so keep your pencil down. We've got 3 number tracks. We've got the 2 times table, the 4 times table, and the 8 times table. Okay, and on these number tracks, we can see the same doubling pattern. So I wonder if you can spot any numbers that are in the 4, the 2, the 4, and the 8 times table. You might want to just pause the video and just have a look. Are there any numbers which are in all 3 times tables? There were a few, well done. We're going to I'm just going to pick out one of those. Let's have a look at this number 16. 16. 16 and 16. 16 is in all three of the times tables. Now, I know that, how many lots of 2 make 16? I know that 8 lots of 2 make 16. I know that 4 lots of 4 make 16. And I know that 2 lots of 8 makes 16. That's interesting, isn't it? How that same total is in all three times tables. Now, 8 lots of 2 is 16. 4 lots of 4 is 16. And 2 lots of 8 is 16. Now, as this digit here doubles, interestingly, the first digit is halving. Did you notice that? That's just particularly interesting. Perhaps you spotted other numbers on those tracks that were in all three of the times tables. Let's move on to a missing number activity. This is an activity slide, so get your pencils ready this time. Let me show you the first one. So something times 4 is 16. Have a think first about how we might work this out. How might you go about it? I would suggest we count in 4s. How many lots of 4 can fit into 16? So I might count in my 4s here. 4, 8, 12, 16. I've got 4 lots of 4 that make 16. So I can pop a 4 in there. You might have had a different strategy for working that out, but certainly if you can count in your 4s, we should be able to work that out nice and easy. So now I'd like you to have a go. How many 4s can go into 28? Pause the video and have a go at that now. Yeah, well done. So we should have 7 lots of 4 is 28. Now, I've got 2 more I want us to have a look at together. Okay, so this one here works in exactly the same way. We've got a different missing number, and we've got an 8 this time. We're looking at the 8 times table this time, but it can work in exactly the same way as what we've just had a look at there. This time, because we're looking at the 8 times table, we can count in our 8s, which might help us. Now, I know Mr. Lewis gave us a trick the other day, didn't he? And he said every other 4 times table is a multiple of 8. So that might help you. Another strategy that might help you today is to write out in front of you your 8 times table. That might be helpful. And of course, you can use that if you're still learning your 8s. So let's count in 8s together. 8, 16, 24, 32. There are 4 lots of 8 that fit into 32. You can write that out in your book to help you remember how to do that one. And then this one, again, it's exactly the same. All what's happened here, which you might have spotted already, is that the total is at the beginning. So the number sentence is just switched around. So it says 22 is the total. And that's the same as saying something times 2. Now, I know we can all count in our 2s, so I'd like you to do that one on your own. How many 2s can go into 22? That's right. Take that if you got it right. Okay. I want you to have a think about this question. This is a listening slide, so pop your pencil down. How could you calculate 7 times 8? Have a think first, pause the video. How would you go about doing that? You might have your ideas. I want to explain to you a few ways of doing it. Okay, so the first way is this way here. So this little girl has said, well, I can count in my 8, so I can certainly work them out. She's drawn herself a number line, and she's counted up in her 8s 7 times. And she's managed to get to 56, which is our total. So that was one way of doing it. Now this different girl here, she said, I know that 4 times 7 is 28. So I doubled the 20 and then doubled the 8, and I've got the answer. She knows that 4 times 7, the answer to 4 times 7, double that, and that's going to be 8 times 7, which is what we talked about earlier. So she doubled that too, the 10s, doubled the 1s, and she got her answer 56, which was correct. Now, our last little girl here, she thought, well, I know a fact already that's going to help me. I know that 5 times 8 is 40. She might know her 5 times table, and maybe that's what helped her. She knew that was 40, and she knew that 7 lots of 8 would just be another 2 8s added on, which she's done on her number line, and she's got to 56. So that was another way of calculating that calculation. You might have had a different way perhaps, and that's okay too. Okay, our little slide here is an activity slide. Okay, and this is going to be our last one before we crack on with our activity. So, work out the value of each shape and then calculate the missing numbers. So we've got some calculations here, but instead of the numbers being there, we've got some shapes. But there's something to help us. Each shape represents the same value. So where we've got yellow pentagons, they all represent the same number. And where we've got green crosses, they all represent the same number too. Now I'd like to pause the video and just have a think about what calculation would be a good place to start working this out. Have a look and just have a think before you write anything down. Okay, so I'm looking at this first one and I'm thinking, well, I don't know what this yellow is. I'm not sure what this green is yet. Something times something is 8. It could be 8 times 1 is 8. It could be 1 times 8 is 8. It could be 2 times 4 is 8, or it could be 4 times 2. So that calculation isn't really going to help me. I'm going to have a look at this one next. Now, this is interesting because 2 of the numbers in this calculation are the same. So I'm going to think, what times what is 16, where I've got 2 numbers the same? You might know this, in which case you can pause your video and just have a go at finishing this slide. If you're not sure, then keep listening. So I know, as a fact, I know that 4 times 4 is 16. And now, because I've calculated that number fact, and I know that the pentagons are 4, I can now pop 4 in the other pentagons, because I know that that's what that shape represents. Pop them in. And I think the next good one to have a go at is to look at that first one again, isn't it? 4 times what is 8? Or how many 4s go into 8? You know that one. Ooh, now I know what my crosses are. My crosses are 2. So now I've just got to think about what the answers are here, because I know the questions now. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 4, so when you've got a question a bit like that, always just do the first part. 4 times 2, 8. 8 times 4 is 32. If you haven't completed these yet, I'd like to have a go at that next one on your own now, having heard how to do the first one. So pause the video if you haven't finished that yet now. Okay, and the last one, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Tick it if you got it right. So we are going to start our activity today. Okay, We have 1, 2, 3, 4 activity slides, and as normal, I wouldn't expect everybody to do every single question. Okay, we normally say to work on maths for about an hour, so do what you can. Some of you are going to do all of the questions and will do the extension as well. Some of you might just be able to do the first 3 questions, and that's fine, as long as you're working on it for an hour, okay, and doing your best. So let me flick through these question slides. You'll need to pause on each slide so you can complete them, and at the end then we'll do the answers, okay, as I promised. So here we go. Well done, and now for the answers. Don't forget, if you got one wrong, do have a little look at it again if you've got time. Think about what went wrong on that question, okay? I'm hoping you've had lots of success with those answers. Well done for today. That's it from me, and we will catch up later. Bye-bye.